Good morning on this Friday morning. It is day 64 since we went into lockdown. Can you believe it? It feels like an eternity. And it's also our last Friday in stage 4. And so next week we're on level 3. And that'll bring some new adventures as we try to figure that out. This week we started a series called God Is, where we're looking at the attributes and the characteristics of who God is. And I want to share one with you that is particularly close to my heart, and this is God is gracious. God is gracious. In preparation for today, I spent a bit of time reading and just looking at what the word gracious means. And in the Oxford Dictionary, it says the following. It means to be courteous and kind and pleasant, elegant and tasteful. And it kind of doesn't quite ring true about who God is. Yes, he's kind, courteous, pleasant. Yes, he's those things, elegant, tasteful. But then in the next sentence, in the Oxford Dictionary, it says the following. It says in brackets, in Christian belief, it means showing divine grace. Gracious means showing divine grace. The sentence that the Oxford Dictionary gives to give a descriptor, to explain what the word gracious, the context, how to use this word in context for this particular word, it says the following. It says, I am saved by God's gracious intervention on my behalf. Saved by God's gracious intervention on my behalf. And right there we have the meaning of what grace means. In Romans 5 verse 8 it says the following, but God demonstrates his love for us in this, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Before we even knew we needed a Savior, Christ died for us. Before we even born, Christ died for us. I love the way that Eugene Peterson puts it in the Message Bible. He says the following, that same verse, Romans 5 verse 8, he says, but God put his love on the line for us by offering his Son in sacrificial death while we were of no use whatever to him. While we could offer him nothing in return, he died for us. He sacrificed himself on the cross. I was listening to a religious teacher, a teacher on religions and world religions, and he was saying that the underlying concept in all religions is eye for an eye. If I do good, good will come back to me. If I do bad, bad will come back to me. Some would use the word karma. You often hear people using the word, it's bad karma to do that. What does that mean? It means if it's a bad thing to do, some bad will come back to you. It's interesting that the very concept is actually built into science. In Newton's third law, it says for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so this idea of all world religions built into the fabric of the world we live in is this idea of if I do good, I'll receive good. If I do bad, bad will come back to me. And then grace comes along, and graciousness is exactly upends this concept, this idea. It's that grace says, no, you can't do anything. You can't do enough good to earn it. You can't do enough bad. My grace is all sufficient for you. In 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9, it says the following, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. And so God's grace is all sufficient. It's all encompassing. It's enough. And so what should our response be to this grace, this Savior who, before we even knew we needed it, died for us on a cross, offering us his grace freely given to us, the riches of heaven given to us, though we don't deserve it. And our response is one of worship and adoration, to receive that grace, to accept that grace that has been given to us by our Savior. And so my hope and prayer is that you will know what the depth of that grace is that he has for you, that you will worship him, that you will respond to him and accept it, that grace that he has for you. And so that's my prayer for you today and for this weekend. We hope to see you on our online platforms on Sunday in our services, and we hope to see you then. Have a lovely weekend.